Hello everyone, welcome back to On Location with Zara. I'm your host Zara Durrani. The show is produced with the support of TELUS STORYHIVE. Currently we're here in Railtown at Christine Morton's Christine Lingerie Atelier. Beautiful location, and joining me today is someone who has been inspiring, empowering, and making a lot of people move their bodies. You know, he has been coaching me for the last little while. His mission is to get as many people fit and healthy as possible. He was the founder of Fit in 30, and currently he runs Fit Integrated Wellness, which is in Vancouver downtown, as well as a few locations in Alberta.
That's correct.
Yes, a few locations in Alberta. I'm talking about my coach, Jesse Benson. Welcome, Jesse.
Thank you for having me, Zara.
Yeah, you're not in gym gear.
No, I know. This is refreshing.
Yeah, I feel like I've never seen you out of gym clothes.
Me neither.
This is great. This is great. So thank you for joining us today. I thought you would make a great guest for the show because of your passion for getting people healthy and moving. And that's something that Fit Integrated Wellness really stands for. I love the location. I feel like in the last few weeks since I met you, I've learned so much, not just about training, but about nutrition,
Yes.
which I think is the big one. It's the big one. You know, we'll dig into that. You brought your little diet and exercise training book manual that I've been using every day. But I, like with every conversation that I have with every guest who sits here with me, I like to dig into what inspired you to get started. Like, when did you know you wanted to enter the fitness industry?
Oh, wow. So we're going to go a ways
Way
back.
back. We're going into your story
All
here.
right. So we're going to dive right in to a 13-year-old Jesse who dug into his father's shed, and I found some old rusted weights. And so that's how I got started, was to, I sanded them, I painted them, I set up in my parents' basement.
You painted them?
I did, yeah. I painted the blue and started lifting them. So not really knowing what I was doing, but it was a really good way for me to channel, I guess, a lot of that energy at 13. My parents' marriage was a little rocky at that time, so it was a good way for me to escape all of that. I would put on my Big Shiny Tunes 3 CD album. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh my God, I remember those.
Those mixed CDs were always really good, and I very quickly started to get like pretty fit. I would say like my arms were like 2 or 3 times the size of a normal teenager arm, and it quickly got the attention of a lot of my peers in high school. Not so much the women, but definitely the guys were interested in learning, you know, what I was doing in the gym. And so I started effectively personal training, you could say, at 15, showing guys how to work out in the gym. And I very early on knew that I wanted to become a personal trainer. So you know, I was fortunate enough to find my passion early on, and begin helping lead by example and show other people, you know, how to build muscle, how to transform their bodies, you know, at an early age. So.
And it's not just about, as we know, this is something we talk about often, it's not just so much about the body.
Yeah.
Because when you start working on your body, the endorphins that you get, you know, I don't know if it's Joe Rogan or Tony Robbins talks about this, you know, you have this change of state. When you move your body, whether it's Thrive in 30, he has this whole thing, you know, is it 15 minutes to fitness or Thrive in 30? He has all these like sayings. There was a time I used to listen to Tony a lot, and I completely believe that you can have a change of state, whether you're doing something outdoorsy, whether you're hiking or playing tennis or just going for a long walk, which, as you know, I like to go on. And it can be so meditative. Like the me who started before the walk or the workout versus my state internally or emotionally, where it's at afterwards. So I'm sure when you started working with people, or even now, you know, you've worked and been in this industry for several decades now, how you've seen people's personalities evolve, and then not just personalities, but their lives evolve.
Absolutely. It is absolutely transformative. It is meditative. So there's a saying where the higher the intensity, the quieter the mind, right? Because if all you can really focus on is breath and being completely present in that movement, then you're going to quiet your mind. And that's an awesome thing. Even if it's just for, like you said, 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day can have absolute transformative powers when it comes to that state of being, which is really cool to see people, like, their true selves come through, that light kind of reignite in them when they pop back at the gym. So we love to get people on that fitness wagon safely and effectively, again, within 30 minutes. So our thing is also to make that state of being very accessible to people. So time, cost, location. We try to remove as many barriers to entry as possible. And once we get you fit, healthy, strong, then it's time for you guys to get outside, begin moving, reconnecting with passions, hobbies, activities that you really enjoy doing, now that your body is ready to do that, right?
Something I forgot to mention as I was introducing Jesse is he was just named as one of the top 10 trainers in Canada in Impact Magazine. We should have asked you to bring that copy.
We should have.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a bit about that.
Well, that is just it's a great acknowledgement. It's always nice for, especially a reputable magazine like Impact Magazine, to just recognize you as a fitness leader and professional. My career has been a long one, like, again, starting as young as 13 to now 38. I have been a personal trainer for 17 years. And within that time frame, I've completed over 50,000 30-minute personal training sessions. So,
oh my goodness.
Quite possibly more than anybody in North America or even the world, for that matter. So I think I've reached a level of mastery in my craft now where I've been able to successfully transition into the next chapter, which, as a gym owner, entrepreneur, and now educator, coach, it's been a really rewarding journey, largely in part because I dedicated myself so much early on and put in the time and the reps and all the rest of it. So I was really pleased that Impact Magazine recognized me as one of Canada's top trainers.
That's amazing, and we're working together. I love it. I love it. I love to know, where do you get that fire from? Because whether someone is designing women's wear or makeup, Micah did my makeup today. He created this beautiful makeup line. But I always find artists, entrepreneurs, there's always something inside of them that connects them to this fire that doesn't burn out, because you will go through ups and downs, as I know from your story, COVID and beyond, and personally and business-wise. But there's something that is within us that cannot be dimmed. And obviously that needs to connect to a bigger mission, that needs to connect to like a bigger purpose. So what is that for you?
Thanks for asking that question. I often say that passion, with time, will run out. It's somewhat fleeting. It's like you can be very passionate initially, but when you get into year 10 and year 20, I think it's really important that we find purpose in what we're doing, and quite often purpose lies in doing something that's greater than ourselves. So there's so many people that depend on me now. I have staff, I have hundreds of clients, we have communities that we need to support. So in that selflessness, I think I find my strength where I'm able to support others. And for me, that's really important. I don't know what it is. Like, the first time I hired a staff, and I was responsible for putting food on their table. I was responsible for their income. I took that really seriously, and I think I still do today. And when you make your clients' needs your North Star, it really helps with decision making and navigating things like COVID. And I feel like that's why we were able to successfully get through that. I now understand my greater purpose, right, in supporting not only myself but also everyone around me. And in addition to that, everything that's good in my life comes from that place. It comes from the gym. So for me to be my best version of myself, I need to be connected to that. So again, really everything that is good in my life comes from there. Everything that's bad comes from outside of that place. So I have to really make sure that it is important to be fit and healthy. It is important to prioritize our fitness routines, because without them, we really can't be our best selves at the end of the day.
Completely. And, I think I was telling you, we've been working together and on my nutrition, and I have a friend in Germany. She's a producer, a filmmaker, and we leave each other voice notes. That's how we communicate because of the time difference. It's 9 hours difference. And she's like, what did he say to you? And then the next day, and I'm like, I'm eating this and I'm eating that, and I don't know about this, because I was used to intermittent fasting.
Yes.
But the way, and I think I'm still doing that, but the way that we're doing it, it's kind of flipped around. I feel like I've been very blessed naturally. My mom, my grandmother, all very smaller ladies. I've eaten whatever I wanted all my life. There's also a lot of diabetes in my family, and arthritis and osteoporosis. So the back of my brain, I was like aware of that. And I think I started noticing only since we started working together, which has been less than 2 weeks, that first Jesse was like, okay, go home and, write down what you're eating. It was almost scary, and I felt almost guilt because I went to go see Dune at the movie theater, and I'm like, yes, I'm gonna have that my dinner is half medium thing of popcorn loaded with butter and Coca-Cola. Folks, this is the honest truth. And I'm there by myself. My thing is to go to the movies. That's my thing. I love going to movies by myself. I like having that experience as an artist, as an actor, because it's just you watching and, other people there. I don't really care, but it doesn't matter what part of the world I'm in, Paris, LA, New York, Toronto. I will go watch a movie by myself. It's kind of disconnects yet connects. And I'm like, man, do I really want to share this with Jesse, that this is what I have for dinner, a big thing of loaded, so I finally, every day I notice I'm having croissant, every day. And it was very interesting that as I started working with you on this and learning about nutrition, and I remember having this conversation, I feel like a child, I feel like a baby learning to eat. And now that I'm going grocery shopping, because it's so different when you listen to someone online or YouTube. I mean, it's great, but I realize I'm the type of person, I need hand holding. I need someone to be like, do this, I need to forget about what I need to do. So now that I'm going grocery shopping, I'm like, okay, protein. Because he wants me to eat protein with every meal. I'm like, greens. So that was really fascinating. I know perhaps everyone who's watching already knows this, but to get this information and this guidance and coaching with you, and to share my daily logs with you, has been a very fascinating experience, because I think I became competitive in the process of doing this little journal.
Yeah.
Tell our audience about this.
Well,
what you created, this fascinating little booklet.
It is. It's a healthy habit builder, and it's a 3-step process. First of which, we need to become more aware, and by taking the 20 seconds it takes to just write down what we did that day, we become much more aware of those eating habits. And there's another thing that happens psychologically. Like you said, Zara, when you were writing it down, you were like, oh my goodness. And that's partly because what happens when you eat food? It disappears. And now by having to write it down, it's like, oh, wait a minute, this happened. And once we're more self-aware of those patterns, Monday to Friday, and of course Saturday to Sunday, we then can start experimenting with some healthier options, right? And becoming more aware of, okay, well, let's incorporate perhaps a little bit more protein in some of these meals. And then the last and final step is to finally create that habit where every single day we are following a more structured routine, which is where our body's going to thrive. So oftentimes our results are hiding in consistency, which can be the biggest challenge given life and all of its curveballs. But when we've got a plan, we're tracking and journaling, then our chances of success are much higher. And what you also touched on, which is really important, is accountability. Because without accountability, good luck. I always tell people that here's our rate, and 80% of that number that we charge for our services is accountability at the end of the day. So yes, most of us know what we need to do, and most of us know what we need to eat, but unless there's somebody there that's holding you accountable, it's likely not going to happen.
Because all that information, whether you go to a library or social media, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere,
Totally.
we know we're bombarded with. And I think one of the things that
That's
I came
right.
to you with originally is, I know all these things. You're like, okay, so we're aiming to do all these things, but we don't really know what we're doing. We're doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but not really doing anything at all. And, it's kind of fascinating because because I have like certain goals. So for those goals, we decided to see what sort of results we're going to get by cutting out, my daily consuming. And, and it made me realize like how I'm addicted to sugar and how I'm addicted to like bread, but it's emotional,
It is.
because when you look at like food is certainly can be a bit of,
Absolutely. And look at the path that we chose with you. So for everyone, either food's going to be more difficult or activity is going to be the challenge. And in your case, activity was easier for you to do. And so we're gonna choose that path. We're gonna increase your activity levels, knowing that by doing so, you're going to sleep better. You're going to drink more water. You're going to crave healthier foods.
What I found so fascinating, Jesse, is that he was telling me to make sure I'm getting 8 hours of sleep. And I have to say, I don't think I've ever received that information. Like you always get, okay, we're gonna work this body part, we're doing the abs, you're doing this, you're eating this, don't eat that. But the recovery part, and when you said to me, make sure you're getting your 8 hours of sleep, and I noticed, like no joke, by increasing protein, by being on top of my water, other than the last few days and today, but we'll get on it. I was eating well. I was good on my diet yesterday. Today we're a little bit off because we're
You've done
filming.
so well. Like from where we started, like you said, only 2 weeks ago to
Yeah.
now, like it's night and day almost in terms of the amount of activity that you're doing and how clean that you're eating. But again, I think the structure, the accountability, all of that helped big time.
Dude. Like even for example, like in the evening, sometimes like I still have my dark chocolate like sitting there, and I'm like, no one's gonna see. It's okay, Zara. It's okay for you to have a little bit, just a little bit. And like 8 o'clock, and I was like, no, I'm doing this thing. If I can go without like drinking alcohol for 10 years, I can certainly try this thing of not having dark chocolate even at night. Sometimes I go into my favorite coffee shop and the baked goods, they're very freshly baked every day, and the baker is talking to me, and I'm like, I will just have that coffee, But I do think there's something to be said about discipline and willpower and building that. And that was the conversation you and I were having after my workout the other day.
That's right.
The importance, especially in today's world, to strengthen those inner muscles of, and like even yesterday on set, you know, you constantly were bombarded with food, and then the chocolate tray is going around, and I know me, I can't just have one, because when I start, I need to have and I said that to our caterer, and I was like, you know, I can't just have one. I saw one guy come in, he's like, I will just have one chocolate covered pretzel. I just looked at him. I was like, what? That is so much willpower. I don't have that. So what we're working on, and it does create some pride inside of me, right? So I'm having like 2 of those spinach salads that, you know, very late at night, I'm like writing, I did have those 2, and I added a boiled egg to each. And you're teaching me to add more nourishing meals, you know? And that's something, when you said in the beginning, I was like, how dare you, Jesse, my inner mama. He's like, you're not eating nourishing foods, you know?
You're feeding your hunger, but not
Yes.
necessarily, you know, your body. And that's 2 different things. But you've done so well, Zara. Like, seriously, you've done very well. And strengthening that willpower muscle, like, it is kind of a muscle in a way. So you've got to strengthen that as well, especially, like you said, anywhere you go. It's really set up for us to fail. Like, you know, they know how to get us, right? Like you said, you've got to stand in that line, you've got to stare at all those baked goods. Even if you can bypass all of that, they're going to get you at the till with the smaller item. Or even the grocery stores, like we talked about. You walk in the grocery store, they put the produce at the very beginning of the store, knowing that if we put something healthy into our basket, we're far more likely to justify putting something unhealthy afterwards, right? You wouldn't necessarily go to the grocery store and start by putting a bag of chips in your cart, right? So really, people need to, 1, be more aware, and then 2, develop that willpower over time, right? So that we can actually navigate all of this stuff and succeed and come out on top, as opposed to, I guess, becoming more of a victim of all of these marketing and different things that are there to get us to fail.
It's so well said. And I didn't really recognize that until I went grocery shopping at this new store that's open downtown, and I was really excited. And, you know, I've got my little thing. I know I'm a nerd. I'm like, okay, what are we doing? I know it sounds like baby steps, but the fact that in the little booklet you have ideas of, okay, what are you eating? What are you having for breakfast? You know, there's some options. Like, obviously, you guys are not giving specific recipes, but it's like you can have this, this, and this. And then for your morning snack, and what for. So I sort of took this as like, and you know, you're getting all these calories, but you're getting them from, you know, not what your body needs. And no joke, I see some of the inflammation in my face down. I notice it in my waist. I notice it in my legs, just because when I would eat those, you know, my delicious goodies, I think I may be mildly allergic to gluten, you know, or like all the sugar. Like, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about, it was a doctor talking, and they're saying it ages you. You want to age faster? You know, all the sugar you're consuming, it ages you. So you could put all the lotion potions, the vitamin C's and retinols and the lasers and everything. But if you're not changing from inside out, so now when I'm eating breakfast even on set, and you know, lately my breakfast has been like, I've been eating like cups of fruit, you know, because I'm like, okay, I can only get my sugar from my fruits, and you're like, eat it before 11.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of what I'm putting into my body. This is real vitamin C and fiber that I'm putting into my body, and I'm like enjoying the food more.
Right. Yeah, nature's candy, fruit. You know, being more aware, your palate will change. The moment you take sugar out of your diet, you're going to taste your food. By not eating out as much, right? A lot of the restaurant food is just loaded with sodium, with butter, with all kinds of things that once again you start slowly remove from your palate, you begin tasting your food, enjoying your food, connecting with your food. All of these things are so important when you want to, again, change the body from the inside out. And what I loved about you is you had very specific goals. You're like, look, I'm an actress. I want to change my figure. I carry fat in certain areas. I want to change that. And I love that. I think the more specific, the better. And sadly today, most people that we meet for the first time, when we ask them their fitness goals, they just give us something like really generic and say, well, I don't really know. I just want to get fit. And I think the reason a lot of people give these kinds of general fitness goals is because they've given up on their goal. Like they've tried so many times already, and they don't want to set themselves up for failure or defeat and go through that whole roller coaster of emotions again. So best to play it safe and just say, well, I just want to get fit, whatever that is or looks like. But I don't think we should sell ourselves short. I think with the right program, with the right guidance, with the right accountability, we can absolutely attain transformative goals. We can add muscle and tone and shape certain areas of the body. Of course we can do that with the proper diet, like everything we're talking about. And of course with the proper training regimen. And so with you, we quickly identified that you wanted that X figure, right? You wanted to broaden up just a little bit up top and have that X figure go through the waist and into your legs. So yeah, of course we can do that.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And I was saying this to someone like this summer. Every time on set, now I just like proudly, like when I would say in my early 30s, and I think as a performer, you always like want to hide your age a little bit. But now I openly like to mention my age and on set. And I know part of this also has to go with my demeanor and my style. But I love to see people's reaction when they're like, what? You're going to be 42 this summer? I'm like, yes. But I was saying this to someone on set yesterday. I'm like, I really want to look the best I ever have.
Awesome.
Like, it's like, and I think that really comes from inside out because I noticed, I was mentioning this to you, when we started doing the training, like I'm training 3 days a week and then really working on the nutrition element. And that's why, health and fitness and health and wellness has been such a big topic on my show, is selfishly, I want to learn, and hoping that everyone else who's watching is getting inspired as well from these conversations that we're having. Like we've had like doctors, naturopathic doctors, nutritionists, dietitians on the show, teaching us. And I feel like I'm an experiential learner. Like I'm not going to learn from a book. I am not the student sitting on a desk. Like that is not me. I am go out in the field, fall many times, learn. That's me. And through what we're doing, and even at the gym, I'm like, I wonder if the other people think I'm a little bit crazy because there's a lot of sound effects, but I feel like you have to connect to that primal thing inside of you to like push yourself out of your comfort zone.
Right.
It's like when I was doing the box jumps that time, I'm like, no, you're not gonna make me do box jumps. And Caleb is like, Zara, it's just a mind thing. Come on, you can do it. And then I'm verbalizing and I'm telling myself, I can do it. You can do it. I got this. I got this. I got this. And I think when you do that, earlier today I was interviewing Christine, who has it's her boutique. She's 72. She does cold dips.
Wow.
She does cold dips daily.
Love it.
And she just went scuba diving.
Oh, wow.
And it's to be a forever student and to continue growing and challenging yourself and putting yourself in situations and places where you're a student. I think it's just so important.
Well, that's also what I've admired about your journey, or you could even refer to it as your health quest, right? It's so much more than even a journey in a lot of ways. But I absolutely admire anyone who's willing to, like you said, do it, because this isn't a thinking thing, right? It's a doing thing. So we've got to do it. We have to push ourselves outside of that comfort zone because that's where change happens. The body will only adapt, meaning the body will only change to meet that imposed stress or demand. So if it's easy, you go to the gym, you go to a class, and it's easy, or you're not breathing hard, or you can have a conversation, or you don't feel it the next day, then you can't expect your body to really change or adapt to meet that, again, that stress or imposed demand. So absolutely do it, push yourself, and then keep doing it, because when we attain our goal, whatever that is, whether it's to lose weight or gain muscle mass or tone or shape, that really becomes the start line, not the finish line. And so many people can maybe attain that in the short term, but it becomes much harder to maintain in the long term, which is why, again, our approach has been very much lifestyle based, right? Where it's designed in a way where not only are we taking things off, but we're keeping it off, which is really the goal at the end of the day.
And inspiring me to, you've gamified it,
Right.
and I was like, you want to play? Let's play. It's like, I'm a competitive person, so Jesse's like, okay, get 7 out of 10. I'm like, or last weekend, I'm like, 7, I can do 9 out of 10. Let's
And you
go.
did. You totally. And that's where I was like, Zara, we gotta pace, don't race. Which I love that. Some people need to be pushed, other people need to be kind of paced, right? And you're one of those.
But one of that, it's the accountability thing that I want to talk about. It's such a different experience for me to go through this process of like the one-on-one accountability bit. So you have a lot of trainers working with you, and you also have your certification school for personal trainers. And you have trainers who are brand new, you have trainers who've been at it for like decade or decades. However, you yourself you oversee things. You don't just take clients on, or maybe very specific. Can you tell us a bit more about that? About if someone wants to come to you specifically for coaching and mentoring.
Would love to.
And what that looks like. Because you're not just taking clients on, you're like, work with this individual or that individual. I feel kind of lucky.
That's right. Well, I absolutely love working with select few clients who are ready, like yourself, who are ready to make that transformational change. Unlike many other coaches, I don't necessarily need the income, but what I do need is to lead by example to the rest of my team and my my students. So when they see me doing transformational work with clients, they say, oh, that's what it's about. That's what we're here to do. And so what I would absolutely love to do is continue working with high-level CEOs, actresses, models like yourself, because you guys take it so seriously, right? If we're gonna both invest the time to do this, then we have to be ready. And so that's the coaching with myself. But with the facilities, the goal or the mandate is to make fitness accessible, right? So we have teams of trainer both in BC and Alberta that are available online for a very affordable price. Our Fit Integrated Wellness trainers are just $35 per session, and our students through our academy are available for as little as $20 per session. So again, our goal is really to
Which is unheard of.
It is, yeah. It is. And that, again, is our goal, is to just make fitness accessible. And we don't see fitness necessarily as a gym membership. Like, that's not really what you need, right? You don't really need another gym membership. You need someone. You need a person that's going to be there, help guide you, hold you accountable, make sure that you're booked in, check in with you, be in your corner. Are you eating properly, sleeping properly? So again, fitness is really about connecting people with fitness professionals, and in doing so in a very affordable, accessible way. And I feel like we've attained that with the gyms and the academy.
I feel like it's almost like life coaching in a way, because you're changing people's lives through little habits. So for example, me, when I've had like long days on set, on my off days, like sometimes I do want to loll around. I just want to, be kind of lazy. But since we started doing this and I'm like, okay, it says 2-hour walking. I'm like, okay, and then I find myself, doing, like walking from my home in Yaletown. I'm sometimes walking to second beach and then third beach, and then I'm listening to a podcast or an audiobook, and I got my dog with me, invited a friend, or sometimes without a friend. To be honest, I find it more enjoyable without one. I'm sorry.
Well, you've got Loki.
I've got Loki, I've got my dog, and And it's interesting. Yes, you're getting the physical benefits. For me, I like to talk about the mental health benefits so much because yes, you know, spring, we're in spring, spring is starting, summer's around the corner. Everyone, you know, you start seeing on Instagram and everywhere, your summer body, get fit in 10 weeks or 12 weeks or 60 days or whatever, get ready. Versus, you know, this is something I talked to you about. The reason why I really started shifting, even on my personal social media spaces, is more towards health and wellness, is I wanted to go beyond January, because all of a sudden everyone's on this fitness journey in January, or, you know, like stopping alcohol, or dry January, or dry February, versus when you make those like changes in your life that, you know, it's like especially when I went grocery shopping last time, like after the training session, when I got you the smoothie, I'm noticing what I'm purchasing because I'm thinking of what I'm going to eat and thinking of the protein intake and this. And also by not eating so much of the croissant and the baguette and the whatnot daily, believe it or not, Jesse, I'm noticing in my third chakra, a little bit woo-woo, I just feel I'm not as foggy. I'm not needing afternoon naps, you know? I mean, of course, when we push my body really hard at the gym, and then when you make this, you're working on the body, but you're also working on the internal body in terms of what you're consuming and the life choices you're making, and then how you're showing up in the world, you're more alert, awake, energetic.
Absolutely, and you can't necessarily get there unless like what you're putting in your body has to be healthy and clean, and likewise it's mind, body, spirit, right? And that sometimes we forget that there's that element as well. And a great way to get there is just to get our bodies moving and get into nature, like you're saying, and just feeling spiritually connected. I feel is so important, having that foundation of not only, yes, nutrition and activity, but also on that spiritual side. So I think that's so cool when you brought that up to me, because you know, when clients often come to us, when most of our clients come to us, they're not on the highest of highs in terms of, you know, they're coming to us and they're like, we've got to like pull them out of the water. Some are drowning. Some are just barely hanging on by a thread. And so we pull them in, and perhaps we start with stretching just to get the body moving a little bit. We start with those micro habits, the water, all these little things, so that eventually they can experience what you've now experienced, where you feel so much more spiritually connected and grounded. And I just think that's so awesome that within this short amount of time, you're already there. And that's really the goal, is to help as many people as we can.
I love that. So you used to own Fit in 30 before. I remember, like, before I moved to Paris, I saw the sign everywhere, you know, going over the Cambie Bridge, and I was like, this sounds very interesting. The fact that I can, you know, come and get a workout done in 30 minutes, like, is that even possible? Like, you know, in my brain, when I imagine a workout, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, because I'm that person who kind of, you know, is like the machine, the phone, you know, you're taking your time. What am I doing next? What is that person doing? You get distracted or whatever, whatnot. But I think there's something interesting that when you have a trainer, the one-on-one benefits. I find, like, with your team, like, receiving those text messages, and I find from some of the guys that are like, I can feel their passion. You know, I can feel like their energy for like training someone. You're just like ready. I was like, wow, that's you know, it's really cool. You're passionate. You're doing what you love. So tell us about Fit in 30 and then transitioning over to Fit Integrated Wellness.
Yeah. Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah.
It's always great to hear. And so Fit in 30 minutes was simply a goal, again, to make fitness more accessible. it doesn't mean that you're limited to only 30 minutes, right? You are coming in early. You can stay later. So it's
which I
basically
do.
you're in and out within an hour. But what you're effectively paying for is that 30 minutes with the trainer that's concentrated and tailored to your unique body, goals, likes, dislikes, injuries, right? And I think
Strengths and weaknesses.
strengths, weaknesses,
Yeah.
like everything else out there is so cookie cutter. It's not for you, right? And these guys, and what I also love to hear is the relationship, because so many of our clients do value the intellectual part. You need to be stimulated not only physically but also mentally, right? It's so important. You don't want to just go and do a fitness routine where you're not actively engaged in with a person and that kind of thing. So,
You know, it was interesting last weekend. You guys were closed, and with Caleb, for example, he's like, "Yeah, we can do online sessions," and I was like, "No, I prefer the in person." And then you were like, "Zara, get it in." And yeah, I have a nice gym in my building as well, and then I have free weights at my home. So we did one day the gym in my building, then one day at home, because I just wanted to be with my little fur babies. And it was great because, you know, it may sound funny, but I'm like, I don't know how to use some of these machines, like the cables. Like I see people doing all these like fancy things with the cables that they can use them in all these ways. And I was like, oh yes, you're teaching me how to use what I already have. So for example, if there is a blizzard or snowstorm or whatever, it's the holidays, and what things I can do in my apartment and the things that I can do in my home gym. So for example, even if I'm traveling, like I can do that, because it can be so easy to be like, okay, if I'm traveling, I'm not gonna get my training in, or I'm not gonna do this, and then we're using muscles in the body where I'm like, oh my God, I never moved my body like that. Like I didn't even know I could do that. So I think it's also, like you said, really important to be stimulated mentally.
absolutely. Yeah, and I love that you're such a good student. You're like, I don't know about the online. And again, you just did it, right? You jumped in, you did the online, you loved it. And you were showing me, you're like, I've got all these videos on my phone and of exercises. But then I go to the gym, I get on the machine, I don't know what to do. You know, again, that instruction, that education, it's invaluable. And you can definitely get that in an online format. We introduced online back in 2018, prior to COVID.
Prior to COVID, okay.
And it was because we would make such good progress with our clients when they were here, but they're all work hard, play hard types. And they travel a minimum 1 to 2 months of the year. And what we're finding is like they come back, it's like we got to start all over again. What's the solution? And so we just tried it one day. We did online. And I was surprised to see that very little gets lost in that online translation. It's fun, it's fast, it's effective. We can get really creative. We've got a client who has trained, I think, everywhere except for a plane. We've trained him on a boat. We've trained him on the side of the highway. We've trained him.
What?
Yes, like you can have a ton of fun online. So it works, and it's a great way to, again, supplement that in-person stuff. So if somebody hasn't tried online, definitely.
So Fit Integrated Wellness from Fit in 30, and you know, now you're in downtown and you have locations in Alberta. You can mention exactly where in Edmonton and
Yeah.
Okay.
St. Albert's, Alberta
Okay.
is where we've got a 3,500 square foot facility.
Oh, wow.
That has just launched by donation community classes every Saturday. We've partnered with Wisp Bakery, so people get a by donation workout. They get a coffee afterwards. They can get a protein bar, compliments of Supplement King, another one of our partners there. We've got a great, talented team of trainers as well, and a ton of promotions happening there. So really excited to be impacting that local community. And then of course we've got our flagship in downtown Vancouver. It's about a 5,000 square foot facility, complete again with those community classes every Saturday. I just finished it this morning. And then we also have all of our wellness practitioners. So we have in-house massage, RMT, registered massage therapy, physiotherapy, and as well as chiropractic. And anytime you can assemble a wellness team under one roof, you have something that is just far more comprehensive and complete as a program than if you've got to play telephone between, you know, your RMT and your physio, and no one's really talking to each other, and you're trying to explain to everyone what may or may not be going on. So it's been also really rewarding, bridge that gap between fitness and healthcare, even by bringing in all of these other wellness professionals. So yeah, definitely I do want to get you into for our RMT.
Sweet.
I think you're gonna love that. And yeah, who you can't go wrong. Workout, massage, why not?
No complaints. And I feel like my favorite bit is I'm certainly one of those people, as you know, over the years, when I was in my 20s, I loved going when it was busy. Now I'm like, I like quiet, the quietest time that I can find to go. And I like that how it's a personal training space. You know, it's boutique, and you know, it's for me, it's walking distance, so that's truly amazing. And we have Body Energy also around the corner, and you know, you're coaching and teaching me a lot of things about nutrition, about habits. I love the fact that you guys offer online options, because I was thinking, even for someone like me, you know, I think I'm just starting to notice the difference between just doing a generic class. Like, I love my different classes that I do, versus the personal training. You know, it's just having a coach, like someone just pushing you, like, okay, give me 2 more, give me 3 more, you can do this, you're possible. It's just like having someone on your side, you know, so, like someone's got you. Excuse me, you can show up whatever state you're in, good day, bad day, tired, not, and you know, someone's like, okay, we're gonna do this together, so you're not feeling like you're alone on this journey. Like, someone's like got you and is like kind of pushing you. Some days you need more push than others, but I think and then to see the journey, because I think that's what I'm interested to see, and I have an idea of like how I want to look and what, you know, and just to see the transition over time, like the growth. So that's, you know, I never thought that I would be, you know, going in 3 times a week for personal training sessions, but noticing how it's impacting not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, and how it's affecting my work. Because I think it's not just about working out all the time, it's about leading amazing lives. You know, you making an impact, like using our gifts. You know, it's not just about staying in the gym all day. I mean, for some people it is, because, you know, that's your work. But, you know, like doing that bit so you can go out there and, you know, like rock it in other places.
Absolutely. And you've done, again, I can't help but sing your praises, but you've done such a good job at also becoming a part of our community, right? You've connected with a lot of the trainers, you've connected with everyone there in a short period of time. And like you said, anytime that you can do it with others, that's the best part about fitness, is that you get to do it with other people, right? Like, you can totally go it alone, but then you kind of miss out on all the best parts and aspects. And our environment is such a powerful thing. Like, the people that we surround ourselves with, like, you know, you always hear the top 5 people or whatever. It's so true. Like, the moment we start working with a client, it's like, we got to figure out whose diet are they on? Are they on their diet? Are they on their spouse's diet? Are they, who are their friends? Like, what is their lifestyle? Because all of these things, all of these people have such a powerful impact on our lives. And so by bringing you into our community, by connecting you with trainers who are now a part of your life, who are in your corner, along with, you know, that's why I want to bring in the RMT, I want to bring in physio as well, because those people are really will have very powerful influences on your health, well-being, all of it.
I have to tell you something funny that I haven't told you yet. So, you know, it's like whether I'm going for like lunch or dinner, or like I'm doing something with a friend, I'm like, okay, instead of sitting down for coffee, can we just go for like a little stroll? And I forget whether I was like walking or like eating something, and like the ongoing joke, like in my like friend group right now, one of my girlfriends, she lives 2 blocks away from your guys' gym. I've been trying to get her to come. You know, when she's ready, she will. And she's like, does Jesse approve? Like, do you get a point for that? Do you just get half a point or 1 point or 2 points for that? But that's like kind of like the ongoing joke right now, because they're watching like my social media stories, because I was telling her about the point system. It makes me laugh, but I'm like, I am that kind of person where I do like to, record. Like, I don't think I was before, because to be honest, I'm not into recording business and like, writing down. That's like not my forte. But because you were like, you have to, this is the way we're going to do it. This is how you're going to see progress. It took a little bit out of me to do something new, but I was like, okay, little by little, you surrender to the process and you be open and willing to learn and grow. And, I'm telling her, and she was asking me, she's like, do you notice a difference? So now I find, this is something as like women in our 40s, like that's my girlfriends, whether they're performers or not, because she's not. And, talking about this, because yes, we do a lot of things for our skincare and beauty, but it's like, I know all these things, but sometimes you just forget, right? And you need to be told or taught, or like you need someone to do a little bit of hand holding in the beginning to be like, hey, what choices are you making? Where are you, yes, you're eating vegetarian, but it's like, where's your protein coming from?
Especially in those transition years, right? Like you're now transitioning from your 30s diet into your 40s diet, and that's a very different diet. It's a very different lifestyle than, again, even your 20s diet. So you're right, and better to be that friend, maybe be that person who inspires and maybe pushes others, be that example for your circle or even family. I think that's really cool as well. I've had several transformations where it's happened so quickly that people, almost didn't recognize them. Like, who is this person? Because, you're so into it. You're so into this new lifestyle. But what's wrong with that?
No, I love it. And I think once you stick to your guns, people start respecting you for that and then become inspired by it. What is your hope and goal with Fit Integrated Wellness?
It is to heal people. So when we inherited the new space post-COVID, because we had lost our landlord had defaulted on half of his assets, so we were basically on the street, out of a home, looking for a new facility, and we inherited this new facility. It was placed in my heart, like, on that moment, I was like, why is this happening? Why am I getting this second chance to continue this work that I'm doing? And it was placed on my heart in that moment to create a place of healing for people. And I immediately was like, okay, no small task. I know the transformative powers of diet and exercise, but healing is so much more than that. Which is why we brought in RMT, right? Human touch, human connection. Like, what did we need more than anything post-COVID? Like, you couldn't even stand this far apart. We brought in physiotherapy, which deals with pain that may be trapped in the body, right? It could be acute from an injury, but it can also be past traumas that the body is holding on to or needs to process and release. And so, again, by assembling a wellness team, we've been able to evolve into Fit Integrated Wellness.
I love that.
Which is centered around healing, not just fitness, right? So it's a much more holistic approach, but we keep it very pragmatic in, okay, like, what are the steps to get there? Let's do the assessment, let's do the measurements, let's do the goal setting, the tracking, the timelining. Because if it's too holistic, then you don't necessarily hit any milestones, right?
And I think what you're also teaching are life skills. You're also teaching something that, of course, people can come and go. They can, train for 3 months, 2 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. And then they can take those skills that they've learned and implement them.
That's right.
Not just so I personally feel, I guess I'm really passionate about it because I feel like I'm learning something. You know, I'm really into like audiobooks and podcasts and learning about the healing powers of the body and how much we're capable of, and you know, what we can do and achieve. And the more fine-tuned we can, the more we can, you know, get our body to be at its optimal health, the more the mind is clear, the more our intuitive powers and our creative and artistic abilities, but not just in that realm, whether it's business, artist, entrepreneur, or stay-at-home mom, you know, that the better we can show up in our lives. Like, you know, something that we were talking about earlier was also, you know, something I feel like in my mom's generation, we didn't really talk much about like women's health in their 40s, like women's hormones. And I found really fascinating, like talking to you earlier on, is how you were telling me you were going to all these workshops and seminars to learn and educate yourself about women's hormones and how women's bodies go through this change, this beautiful transformation in their 40s, and how we're training, what we're eating, and how what we can do to make the transition more softer and easier. You know, so even when it comes to like mood swings, like I'll speak for myself. For me, last year we were doing a show and I couldn't believe the roller coaster for emotions that I was on. But it's because now looking back, my eating was just like, I was going to happy hours, not drinking, but like eating fried food, pizza, French fries, comfort stuff, right? Like comfort food. It felt good. It gave me the little, here and there I'd have a green smoothie, but it's like, where are you getting your nutrition from? It's coming from French fries and pizza and croissant.
Yummy. But it is in line with healing in that, right, with menopause, like that's something that we're gonna be discussing here in the very near future, where, you know, there's certain internal changes that take place. In this case, the ovaries shut down and stop producing hormones like estrogen and progesterone, and so it forces other organs, backups that the body has, like our adrenal glands, to now have to work even harder. The issue is that if we've been beating up those adrenal glands with caffeine, with improper nutrition,
You look at me.
sleep, hydration.
What does that
all
mean?
These things. Well,
no, it means because I've done that,
Yeah.
Jesse. I have done that, and I've gotten myself sick.
Well, here's the punchline is that the body has a third backup system, which it often does. So if those poor adrenal glands can no longer keep up, then the body will actually, guess what else produces estrogen and progesterone? Fat. In the lower abdominal region predominantly. And so once that develops, it ain't going anywhere. Like you could run marathons and eat celery sticks, you're not going to get rid of it. And so, you know, I love that we're starting this journey together now so that we can prepare you for all of that.
I am so happy
Right?
and grateful. Like because so basically I was going through that. I was having a great time doing my last show and doing something that I truly love, you know, having conversations with people, filming, but I was living off of coffee, my Nespresso machine. Oh yes, you know, it was like it was like, you know, it's like I don't drink, but you would think like my little espresso cups, like going straight up, like, you know, nothing in it. And every couple of weeks I would be sick, no joke. And my friends would be like, Zara, like you were just sick. Why are you like sick again? But, you know, between working on the show, auditioning, consulting, my dog, social stuff, but you know what was missing? The food element.
Right.
You know, and the proper workout.
All of it.
You know,
the sleep,
yes.
the sugar, right? By reducing that, you're helping to strengthen your immune system. So you're not sick as often. You can be more productive. You can show up. It's so important, I think, right? To be healthy. So Yeah, I think all that really touches on the immune system, which is kind of like the firewall of a computer, if you want to look at it that way, where it's constantly bombarded with things. As long as that firewall is up, we're good. But there are things that can just knock that firewall out, and then bang, we get sick again. And that oftentimes would be sugar will suppress the immune system, as well as just even one bad night of sleep can really affect that as well. And you know, for most of us working professionals, we can't afford to be sick all the time. Like, we can't afford to miss a week of work.
Yes, when our
Right?
work is our business, you know, this is
We
our
have
life.
to take this
Yes,
seriously.
completely. I want to talk a little bit about your personal training academy. So when did you start that? And, you know, tell us about the process, what that looks like, because you have a lot of, you know, wonderful, driven, passionate, motivated trainers coming out of the academy.
Thank you, Zara, for touching on it. It's such a rewarding thing, the academy. So we started it pre-COVID. It was up and running for a year and a half. We were certifying trainers. We were giving them the opportunity for hands-on learning with clients. And then COVID hit. And so we had to shut it down. But I'm happy and pleased to say that the academy is back up and running and better than ever. And what it allows us to do is two things. One, it again gives newly certified trainers the opportunity to gain that invaluable hands-on experience, given that it's really hard in the marketplace sometimes to find those job opportunities.
Yeah.
And sadly, within the fitness industry, there's a bit of a stereotypical look that can happen as well. So what I love is being able to give trainers who have that passion, who have the heart, to help that opportunity to do so. And then the second part of this thing that's so awesome is, again, we can make it that much more accessible to people. So I think with the cost of groceries now being like almost $100 a bag, the fact that we can offer personalized, tailored fitness for as little as $20 a session or as little as $80 per month, I think is really cool. And when you slowly but surely remove the monetary component to this thing, and it becomes just people helping people in its purest form, it's a very beautiful and rewarding thing to be a part of. And I think when we see our students working with clients, it's a really special thing. It's a really special program.
And is this through online, in person? How does that work?
Both. It's
Okay.
both online and in person. So again, at both of our locations, we can provide the in-person training, but of course, our students are also trained and versed in online as well. So in the near future, we'll be able to offer online training to all Canadians, right? Because we've got the online.
That's brilliant. I honestly feel like there's something about having it in the comfort of your own home or your home gym or wherever you are. Before we let you go, I would love to know what's in store for you in the rest of 2024, or what can we expect from Fit Integrated Wellness?
Well, we are anticipating the opening of a new location in Toronto at
my
the end
goodness.
of this year. Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Going to be exploring that and getting that set up for the end of 2024. Right now, it's just full-on academy 2024. Again, we just opened our Edmonton location maybe 7 months ago, so we're going to get that location fully up and running. I've also partnered with a guy named Matt and his organization Heroes Unleashed, where he's partnering with fitness leaders like myself across Canada. We're going to be hosting Matt. He's cycling across Canada. He's done it once, but this time he's going to be stopping in each major city and hosting events.
Okay.
I just call him the modern day Terry Fox.
Yeah.
So he's a very cool guy, CEO turned fitness leader. And he's going to be getting certified. So we're going to certify him through our academy, NPTA, again, because he wants to lead by example and essentially empower Canadians to take their health and fitness into their own hands, right? And I think that that's what we're talking about here today, is like for each of us, both individually and as a community, to really take ownership over our health and fitness. I'm really excited about Matt's journey across Canada because he's going to be encouraging clients to do, people to do the same. And what people don't realize is that the major consumer of these certifications, both the fitness and the nutrition, are not trainers. They're actually people who want to learn this stuff, right? They want to understand this stuff, and they want the certificate on the wall.
Yeah.
So we're really
And
excited
there's
about it.
something amazing. Like when I used to teach yoga, I've worked with men, but mostly with women. And there was something amazing. For me, I was really passionate about the more than physical benefits, but the emotional, intellectual, spiritual benefits of moving the body and getting people connected. And I would see like women who would have like a cathartic experience, like this big healing experience, like in a class. You know, sometimes it did take like a lot out of me because you have to make space for that. There's 35, 45 people in the room, and you have to hold that space where, and you know, making sure everyone's doing the right thing, posture, you're going, you know, when you're doing back bends or something like that. But the fact that I was able to hold space for these people going through this internal but also external change, it felt very rewarding. You know, it's really something, you know, it's like gold, right? It's you can't like back in the day, like as a teacher, you're making nothing. You know, that's why after a while I was like, I had to like stop that. I was teaching so many classes, like I love teaching, but there was something, you know, and it's something I want to eventually like get back into, even if like once a week, something about connecting with people and sharing, because part of it was you're bringing some spirituality, philosophy into it, and you know, you're in a room with people who are wanting to go deeper. But I'm sure as a trainer and
Happens all the time. It, you know, when you're in an uncomfortable thing, like when you're exercising, you're uncomfortable, and what happens is like things bubble to the surface. They come up to the surface, and it's not uncommon for our clients to break down and will start crying. And like you said, you've got to be ready. You've got to be able to create that space and let them process. Like oftentimes I'll have a woman who will like break down in a session with me, and I'm like, are you good? Do you want to keep going, or do you want to take a break? And 9 times out of 10, they're like, let's keep going. Let's work through it. Let's process it. And I love that. Oftentimes we can tap into past traumas within a training session, and again, begin that healing process, right? Which is really cool.
And I think as a trainer, and I'm sure like as a male trainer, it's something to be so important to be aware of. You know, that's something I was like, wow, in this room, and I would try to get the women to like look away, because you know, when you have a room full of like 30 to 40 women, everyone's like comparing their bodies, what you're wearing, who looks like what size am I? You know, it's just like the way society is, where like we do that, and I'm like, we're gonna turn away from that. We're gonna dim the lights so you can connect with your own body.
Cool.
You know, so we can be like, me not competing with you, but it's me versus me, and me getting in touch with that, you know, and that was like really inspiring. Where do you get your inspiration from?
I have several mentors who I am greatly inspired by. For example, one of my mentors, he just completed like a 75-day fast, water fast, if you can believe that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I've gone as much as, I think I did 3 days fasting. I barely survived it.
Yeah.
So obviously very inspired by him. I've got several other mentors that I've had over the years. I've got a fitness mentor, I've got a business mentor, who all very much inspire me. My father inspires me a lot, and so I'm grateful for the inspiration that I have around me. I think a lot of that is just based on respect, mutual respect. Maybe they see how hard I'm working, and they see how much engaged and they just want to give back in time or support or what have you. For me, the biggest thing is just somebody believing in us, right? If somebody believes in you, like, what else do you need? Like, no one's got the special answer or magic formula or whatever. It's really just a matter of having somebody believe in you at the end of the day. And whether that's a mentor or a fitness coach that says, you know what, you got this, you can do this, I believe in you. That is the fuel that we need to be able to get there, hit our goals.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited we had this and we got to record one of our conversations because we have great conversations post-workouts. Jesse, thank you for joining us today. Is there something that we missed, something you'd like to share with our audience before we let you go?
Honestly, I think we've hit a lot of really good points. Thank you, Zara, for having me. And if anyone is ready to start that journey, then feel free to reach out. You can reach us at fitintegrated.ca.
We'll share that information through
awesome.
Yes, yeah, great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on a beautiful Saturday here in Vancouver. That's Jesse Benson, founder of Fit Integrated Wellness. And thank you for joining us here today on Location with Zara, produced with the support of TELUS STORYHIVE. If you found this episode inspiring or empowering in any way, please do get in touch and let me know. Until next time, I'm your host, Zara Durrani, and I'll catch you soon.